listen, these two teams haven't proven yet that they could get to tier one and beat the top tier teams. If you want to prove to the league, prove to the community, prove to everyone that watches this beautiful game that you are a championship contender, you got to win week one.
We doing everything they talk about. You know I'm everything a boss about. Not putting work.
And there's nothing else to be said about that. You have to win week one. All right. Athletes Forum Podcast, Jamal Clay here. I'm your host. We're here. It's week one. Power rankings done. Don't mean shit. Everything you write up about storylines right now don't mean shit. Everyone looks good on paper. We'll see how it is when the chin straps are buckled and the pads are hitting, because week one is here and we're about to kick it off. All right. For this segment, we're going to give you some quick previews, some quick picks on the games heading into week one of European League football. I also did a segment with First Down Magazine, the show that will be airing, and I encourage you guys all to go check that out. So some of the games, like the Ryan 5 versus Paris Musketeers, I won't dive too much into that because I already did that before. So definitely go check it out, and I'll post the link in the description below. But week one, so let's get to it. Subscribe, drop a comment, like a friend. Let's get it rolling. All right. Week one of the European League of Football gave us a slate, and the league did a good job at scheduling games this year. And I'm going to give you some quick thoughts about what I think about, these games and players. Again, I won't go too crazy into it, but drop a comment. Let me know what you think. You guys know how we do this and have discussions along the way. So Saturday, right, they gave us 3 beautiful games and a primetime game of Hamburg versus Madrid. So let's dive into it. This first game I want to talk about, the Enthroners versus the Panthers. Panthers could be on upset alert, right? Panthers could be on upset alert. The Enthroners are a better team. They have better weapons. And when you look at the contrast and how these teams are built, Panthers want to run the ball, right? Enthroners have made an emphasis on getting D linemen to not only get after the pass rusher, but stop the run. My concern for the Enthroners is who's defending Darryl Stewart Jr., right? It depends, what route they want to go, right? Because I think Brock's going to be able to compete with quarterbacks in this league, right? I think the Enthroners are going to focus heavy on stopping the run and force DJ Irons to be a passing quarterback. DJ hasn't played in a couple years since he's been hurt. How does he look? How does this team look? We all know what the Panthers, their concerns have been: defensive backs and QB stability. Do the Panthers lose week one? That'll set up an interesting conversations for weeks to come, especially on their history. I'm excited to see what the Enthroners look like. I wasn't ready to pull the trigger on this one. I rock it with the Panthers to, get the week one game. Not to mention the Panthers have not lost their opening game since the league has started. They are 4-0. All right. Next game. This is, again, I won't dive too much into this game, but Ryan 5 versus the Paris Musketeers. I gave a breakdown on the First Down Magazine show, what I thought about this game. Here's my quick thoughts for you. No game has bigger lights, more matchups from coaching. You think Del Rio versus Tom Sula. You think offensive coordinator Luke Del Rio versus assistant coach of the year Richard Kent. You think of the players that are on the field, right? This game will tell us probably, I think, the most about where these two teams are heading into this year. I know that's crazy to say week one, but when you think about the matchups and the styles and fights, the most anticipated quarterback to ever come into the league, Jalen Henderson, going up against who I think is the Ed Reed of the league, Amari Williams. That's something I'm encouraged to see. You think about, how these teams are built now. It's going to be interesting to see how this game pans out. I'm excited for this one. This is the game of the week. Again, similar to the Enthroners and Panthers game. I got to see it to believe it, right? So I'm rocking with the Fire. But I'm not sleeping on Paris. I'm not going to lie. That was a hard one to pick. The closer it got to the game, I was leaning more towards Paris, but I'm sticking with the Fire. I'm sticking with Chad Jeffries in the gang to pull out the win. All right. And then the night game, the nightcap on Saturday, we have the Hamburg Sea Devils play the Madrid Bravos. News broke this week. Hamburg coach gone. Not what you want to hear. It's kind of Helvetic issue what happened last year with the head coach and Chow out. And then they bring in the new guy. I forgot his name. But not what you want to see. At the end of the day, it's not about the coaches, it's about the players on the field. Roster's still the same. I think this can be an upset game, right? Call me crazy, but I think this could be an upset game, right? I think when you look at the matchups and the styles of fights and what Andrew Weidinger wants to do and what Hamburg kind of knows, ahead of time what that's going to look like. We don't know what their offense is going to look like. We know that this is a roster that's deep all around. Defense, again, we'll see if Iceman's fully back, right? They signed YP from Helvetic to go opposite of him. Linebackers are good in regards to Alex Posito and Carrasco. DBs, they've always been stout. And when Andrew Weidinger was the coach of Barcelona, that Spanish team was a good team. I think Madrid's could be a good team. I think they have a lot more better talent than them Bravos did. But despite everything that's gone on this week, right? Remember, Coach Fatah out, Coach offense coordinator, Coach rolling in. I'm going to take Hamburg on the upset to see how this plays out. All right. Now we dive into the Sunday matchups, and this is where it gets a little more fun. All right, a little more fun. Again, I'm not going to spend too much time on these games, but I'm going to give you some quick picks, and what to look forward to. All right. So Nordic Storm go to Helvetic. I'll keep this plain and simple. I think if Helvetic's going to have a chance, they're going to have to play ball control. Their D-line's going to have to get after that Nordic O-line, which might be the weakness of that offense, even though it's pretty stout. I think on the edges, DeMarco Artis probably can make some noise and make a name for himself this week. But also that secondary, I still have concerns about. Offense, Keelan Cole, we're all excited to see him. Milan Spiller, we're excited to see him. Isaiah Weed, how's the offensive line look versus a very stout, strong front seven of the Nordic Storm? Again, Jaden Clark, Glenn Tunga, we all know how this pans out. Keep it simple. I rocked with Nordic, but I'm curious to see under Coach Horford what this Helvetic team is going to look like. I'll definitely be tuning in. All right. Next thing we got Cologne versus Berlin. Cologne, lose your quarterback, all right? Playing with a homegrown quarterback, all right? How does this look? All right. Berlin, this is dangling bait right here for you, right? Berlin has to capitalize on the dysfunction of Cologne this week. I'll say that again. Berlin has to capitalize on the dysfunction of the Cologne this week, right? We don't know what Cologne's going to look like. Berlin, Jacob Sullivan, they just signed Janini Adams at running back. Adam Ritter at OC. We know he's more of a vertical passing, offense. But obviously signed a running back. Maybe he switches styles. This game's going to be interesting to see how these play out because we have a young Berlin team. Don't get twisted. This is a young Berlin team, still a talented team. And then we got Cologne where I'm not going to lie, early in the offseason, I thought they were doing some things. And then as we got closer to this point, it became more question marks. I'll keep it simple. I'll rock with Berlin for this game. All right. This game, this is a black and blue game. I said it on the First Down Magazine show. Raiders Munich is replacing the physicality game of Hamburg-Roswolf that we had earlier in the ELF years. This is going to be a physical game. We all know what happened last year. Munich beats Ravens to go to the playoffs. This is turning into a rivalry. Maybe 1 or 2 more games. I'll officially call it one. I'm not there yet. But similar teams. Similar how they're built. Similar philosophy. Both teams want to run the ball. Both teams want to play strong defense. I'm excited to see this one. Outside of Paris, Musketeers, maybe outside of Frankfurt, Stuttgart, who we're going to get to, I'm excited to watch this game. I might be giving an instant reaction, so tune in. But for this one, I went with Munich. I think ultimately they split, rocking with the home team this week. All right. Vienna versus Prague. All right. Vienna's probably built the best roster in ELF history, especially when you talk about offensive weapons, we talk about defense, you talk about, you just signed Lucky. You got JP Bombeck. You got Schaefer in the middle. You got Devine Bucker. You got Cole Coleman. You got Swanker. You got Timmy Nuka, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Like, you got Leo Bowell on the other side. Like, there's not a lot of holes. And on offense, God, I could be here all day naming all the offensive talent that Ben Holm has to work with. I'm curious. I know Prague's gotten better. I'm not going to keep hammering that down. I'm curious to see how they defend Vienna. All right, because if you're going to provide a lot of pressure, play man, I don't think it's going to work out because they got too many weapons. You're going to have to play some type of zone. I think an X factor of this game is going to be Beer Bomber, if I'm being honest. I don't think there's an outside linebacker or a safety on that Prague defense that could pair up with Beer Bomber. You still gonna have to worry about Yannick Mayer. You're still gonna have to worry about Noah Torre, Reese Horn, right? Not to mention you got Wegman in the backfield, Ben Holmes, toting the rock. I'm excited to watch Prague. I'm more excited to see how they defend Vienna, all right? And then offensively, who steps up for Prague, right? We got Radim Kalush, you got Willie Patterson, you got Adam Zuzelka, all right? What other guys are going to step up and make a name for themselves, in this game? I'm excited to see how this pans out. I rock with Vienna. Last game, right? Frankfurt Galaxy versus the Stuttgart Surge, right? This game is pivotal. Pivotal for Frankfurt. If you want to be a championship contender, you have to beat a top-tier team, right? Which over the past couple of years, Frankfurt's yet to prove that. They've lost multiple times to the Fire. Now they're in a new conference. You're playing an in-division rival in the Surge. If you want to prove you're a championship caliber team, you have to win week one. Same for the Musketeers. You got to beat the Fire Musketeers. Frankfurt has to beat the Surge, right? This is going to be an exciting game. This could be an exciting game because you look at the matchup. The Frankfurt offensive line versus the Stuttgart Surge defensive line. That may not be, popular in regards to wanting to see, touchdown stuff, but you have to pay attention to that matchup because that matchup is going to win this game, right? You got maybe one of the best offensive lines going up against one of, if not the best defensive lines, right? And we all know how the Surge defense is. It's a 3-man front. It's crazy. It's exotic. And it's speed. You got the best American DB tandem in the league as of right now. And I know Frankfurt's going to have some things to say about it when you think of about Battle, when you think about Stribling now in the back, now in that secondary. I don't think Frankfurt, at least on the front, matches well with the Surge offense. And also, this could be a Louis Geyer game, right? Louis Geyer led the league in red zone targets last year for all receivers with 30. The next closest was 18, right? This could be a Louis Geyer game. And if not, it could be a Daniel Pedro game, right? And you got Jeff Cotton Jr. and you got Tommy Awewu, right? Surge, I think the Surge are going to win this game, but similar to Prague or Vienna, I need to see what it looks like for Frankfurt to either have or continue my trust in them. Because remember, on my power rankings, I put them at 5. So we'll see how this pans out. All right. So those are some quick thoughts about this game. You guys let me know what you think. Drop a comment. Let me know, what you guys think. Tomorrow we have a new segment. It is the alumni guest picker, right? And that comes out tomorrow. We're going to do it throughout the year. Don't forget to set your fantasy manager rosters and tune in. This is, I feel like we say it every year, but more than this year than the others. This will be, from a competitive standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, from game standpoint, this will be the best year in the European League of Football. Drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Athletes Forum Podcast. Again, I'm excited. And I'll be giving some instant reactions on some games this weekend. So, again, make sure you subscribe, tune in, and, again, join the locker room.